The immortal John Hancock here, and looking forward to having some time off during winter break. And I just wanted to think about and reflect upon this year in gaming and the ups and downs, the winners and losers. And it's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy year for gaming in general. Tying that into this channel and the growth I've seen, and I'm blown away by people continuing to support what I do, and I look forward to continuing to do some great content. So, my opinion of winners and losers in the gaming industry in general for 2017. First off, I have to say, top of that list is the Nintendo Switch. I was a pretty big skeptic as it rolled out, and it still has some things to prove in the long run. And it still hasn't, I want to truly reflect upon it when it is has its anniversary, and so I still have concerns, but there's no doubt about it. It's a bigger success than I thought, and part of that is because I think it's catering to a different audience. It's not trying to be a home console. It's this secondary category, and it's this hybrid console that I think Nintendo fits very well. It doesn't have to be the graphic powerhouse. It can capture what Nintendo does well, and is portable gaming, but it also is a fun machine that really can do a lot of things the other two consoles can't. And so my hat's off to Nintendo with believing in a product. Again, it's really backing that console with some great games, and it's selling great. And there's some things they have to address, but overall, it's a huge winner for 2017. I think it is more successful than a lot of people thought, and for people that are Nintendo fans, really, it's their future. And I see that. I see Nintendo really focusing on the Nintendo Switch moving forward, and hopefully we'll have good things to come. Other winners. I think anybody that decided to get a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One S, especially during the holidays, that was a win. And so I think a lot of these console, essentially the price war that's been going on, has been a win for lots of people, because the bundles, the deals, the software, the options for people, whatever you choose. For me personally, I did pick up an Xbox One S, and you could get these consoles at pretty good deals with thrown in free games, and there's pros and cons to each console. I think the Xbox One S is a better media player, but the PlayStation 4 is selling better, and so and some would say that the exclusives for the PlayStation 4 are better. So there's no denying that, and so I think that either one is awesome, but with that competition came better prices and better deals, and really I think the consumer benefited from that competition. So in general, I think that was a win, and a win for consumers, definitely. All right, you can't talk about gaming in 2017 and not talk about the huge success of Steam. And for a lot of people out there, especially you PC gamers, a lot of this console talk is silly. And you have a great gaming console and you can literally play almost anything. And thousands of games were released just this year for Steam. And there's plenty of options, and there's no denying that it's an awesome way to play. I have probably 20 or 30 digital titles that I've added probably within the last 2 or 3 months, and it's hard to keep up, but there's some awesome stuff. And so yeah, it's Steam is a huge winner for 2017, and there's no stopping it. I mean, it's just it steamrolls the gaming options of many other platforms, and so that's great. Anytime that people can play games affordably is a win. And I think that ties into retro gaming choices, because I think that as time goes on, there's a lot there's a lot of products out there that are allowing people to play retro gaming, Atari, Nintendo, Sega, Game Boy, at affordable prices. I think the era of collecting some original hardware is there still, but I think more and more people are now choosing, multi-carts or different ways of getting their retro gaming fix. And part of that is because there's so many items and products out there that can do that. And so while it's important, it's something that's important to me, of collecting this original hardware, for a lot of people it's not a valid option anymore, and I don't blame people. And so I think that just retro gaming in general is important to play those games. I do think it's important that there's people out there that would like to keep the actual hardware, just for preservation purposes. And so I think that's important, but I also think the convenience of something is going to always trump anything else. And so it's important to know that. So yeah, retro gaming is alive and well, and I look forward to seeing new products, being able to play old things. And we're kind of at this weird crossroads on the same subject. We're at this really interesting crossroads where new technology is being bridged with original hardware or new hardware that plays old products or cartridges, and it's just really neat. We're kind of at this kind of neat crossroads where we can enjoy both at the same time, and it's pretty awesome. The original hardware is still working, but there's more and more replacement hardware out there that can play some of these old games, and for a lot of people that's fine. We wouldn't have winners without losers, and there are some losers, I think, for 2017. And again, this is just my opinion, so you may not agree. That's okay. First one up is EA and Star Wars Battlefront 2. While some people may enjoy the game now, it's damage control now Star Wars Battlefront 2 sales have been greatly affected with all the fiasco with the microtransactions, which they addressed, but it's kind of too little too late. And so it's definitely I think the EA's image has been tarnished again. It's not that it wasn't tarnished before, but I think now it really is hurt. And I think people are while the actual game is okay, I think that people are wanting maybe another company to have Star Wars games, and who knows? We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I think it's going to come down to, is EA harming the revenue stream for Star Wars games, and if so, something might happen. We'll see. Only Disney's can make that determining factor on that. So, all right, the next step on the list, controversial, but in my opinion, I think the PlayStation VR is still not up to snuff, and it's still not worth it. I know that there has been some crazy deals, $100 off units and free games, this and that, but the bottom line is that most of the games are just okay, and it's confusing now because these bundles, you see these really cheap bundles, they're for the old model, and Sony's probably going to look at redoing the whole line and making a more streamlined, affordable unit with less cables and less complications. I mean, I've got to experience one, and I thought it was cool, but I just still think it's worth the price. There's too many things that you need to get, and it's an expensive add-on. I did a video about a year ago about it, and I still don't think it's worth it. I think it's a fun experience in short increments, but I still don't think it's worth the money. And people may have one and love it and think it's great. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's worth the money yet. So we'll see. Time will tell. All right, let's talk about Atari box. And it's just vaporware. I mean, it's something that just never got off the ground. Atari is just a shell of a company. Who knows how far along it really was, and we may never know. And so, they're delaying it, and whatever. Once it went the crowdfunding route, that's when, and the price point of $300 or $250 or whatever silly price point they were going to have it at, lost my interest. So Atari box is kind of a big fail. Hopefully, you know, for me personally, if we're going to talk about Atari, we're going to talk about real games and real hardware and things that really came out, and especially classic hardware. And so that to me is what Atari is. You know, it's you know, I just watched a documentary about the Eagles, and I'm watching it on Netflix, and it's so funny how it's very hard for anything to recapture its glory. You know, especially after a long dry spell or a hiatus. And you know, that's true for anything. You know, for me, you know, Atari comes out now with anything, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be great, and it's going to rely on things that are, you know, over 40 years old now, and it's just it's not going to have that same experience. And so I wish them luck if it ever does come out, but at this point it's a joke, and there's hardly anybody that's really thinking anything's going to come of it. So they have to dig themselves out of a pretty big hole. So there you go with that. All right. You know, the last one is kind of one I've been thinking about, and I think I do think this needs to be addressed on a bigger level, is storage space. And you know, especially with games getting bigger, you know, these 4K games taking up so much space, and especially with things going digital, you know, especially a lot of people now being more comfortable. I know that PC gaming's been doing this for a long time, but you know, as console gaming's becoming more comfortable with digital downloads, it's going to affect storage spaces with these consoles, and even the Nintendo Switch. This is going to be an issue that they're going to have to address. You know, a good example, you know, I just recently got my Xbox One S, and you know, I put 3 or 4 new games, and that 500 gigabyte hard drive is nearly full. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, that's not a lot of games. You know, I remember back in the day, you know, picking up a PlayStation 1 memory card, and you know, one memory card, depending on the game you played, and you were good, unless you know, you play like a sports game or something. But anyways, or a wrestling game. But that storage space is an issue, and I think that it's not a serious issue now. It's a concern, but I think moving forward that's going to have to be addressed. And so who knows? Anyways, I wanted to just kind of point out the winners and losers, I think, of 2017. Again, these are just my opinions. What are yours? What do you think? Who won and lost, do you think? In general, it could be more specific on maybe a game. It could be maybe a news article that you read about and said, oh, I hated that or loved that. And comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Again, I'm still doing 3 videos a week. I just got done with school, and I have a winter break now of 2 weeks, and hopefully I'll have some content. I'm pretty exhausted, and so I just wanted to do a quick video and look forward to doing some great content. And thank you so much for the support around the world. My hat's off. The immortal John Hancock here. Take care.